Hi guys, as Karina mentioned, I'm Nick Pohl and I'm also a strength coach and I have a bachelor's degree in nutrition science. Specifically, I focus on sports nutrition. So this is nutrition to enhance your athletic performance. Okay, so little takeaway topics for you guys. Four kind of separate things I want you guys to pay attention to when we're talking about sports nutrition. And one is I want you guys to start early. So typically in high school, it's a little hard to get breakfast. You guys maybe eat some stuff you shouldn't be eating. You're kind of subject to what your parents get you. So maybe you're grabbing a bar, maybe you're grabbing Pop Tarts. As you see in the examples there, I included drive through, and then sometimes you skip breakfast altogether. And the thing with performance nutrition is you guys got to start early. Okay, so your guys' appetite starts with your first meal of the day, and if you're pushing that back until 12, it's just not going to work for you guys. So if you have an event at like 4 p.m., you got to get your appetite going, and that's how you're going to perform your best. Okay, and then we'll talk about kind of what goes into those meals a little bit later in the presentation. So that's if you look at that point, train the digestive system, get it ready, get it revved up and ready to go in the morning, and then you guys will perform optimally later. Okay, and so what I mean by start small, I mean really start small. So if you are like a breakfast skipper and you like to push your first meal back in the day, even doing something like a bar in the morning is enough to get your hormones going. So there's a hormone called ghrelin, and that's kind of the one that tells you that you're hungry. And so you want that because you want to be eating a lot of meals throughout the day if you want to perform well. And so I included saltines. If you like them, great. If not, that's okay too. But like a little takeaway, a little progression for you guys is starting with something like 3 crackers. Okay, we'll start week 1, week 2, try and up it to 6, and then week 3, try and add some peanut butter. You can do it to 3 and to 6. As long as you're progressing and getting your appetite just a little more and more revved up, then you're in the right spot. And then some examples I included there: bacon with eggs, protein granola bars, toast or peanut butter and jelly, anything easy that you guys can just work into your diet a little bit. And then the next category, so not only do I want you to start early, I want you to eat well. And I know that's kind of broad, but I want you guys to aim for an 80-20 approach of eating well and eating healthy. And so to tell you guys that you need to eat healthy all the time is unfair, and quite frankly, not true. You guys can work in some things like drive through the Pop Tarts, but as long as you're eating well 80% of the time, you're going to be in a good position to perform well. And so that's where I want you guys to go: 80 for performance, 20 for enjoyment. Okay. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the sciencey stuff that maybe isn't quite as fun, but there's 3 macronutrients in foods. And this is what I need you guys to know, because this is the separator for kind of just being a normal person and being an athlete. And especially at the professional level or collegiate level, if you guys are going to go there, you need to know these things. So I listed 3 right on the screen for you. So there's protein, carbs, and fats. Okay. They have a lot of purposes, but just in this context as athletes, I went ahead and listed the things that they're going to be used for sport. So protein, primary things I want you guys to know is rebuild and recover. Okay. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Carbohydrate is energy. Okay. And you're also going to use that for recovery. And again, I'll talk about that in a bit. And then fat is the least important. In this context, but I will say it's the most important if you're like a cross-country runner. It's also an energy supplying nutrient, and you guys need to know that. And so I'll talk about why these 3 are so important and what you need to know about them depending on your sport, just so you train optimally and you perform at your best. There you go. Nice little picture for you guys: carbs, proteins, fats. Okay, so everybody knows what protein is. It's your meats, your dairy, your fish, cheese. I mean, I guess that's dairy, eggs, stuff like that. Carbs, fruits, grains, potatoes, starches. Fats are more your oils, avocados, peanut butters, stuff like that. And I want you guys to know these sources because this is how you're going to be able to perform at your best, but also I want you guys to be able to take away some of this information and know how to build a plate later. So here I kind of broke it down for you guys, the best sources of each. Okay, and so these are all healthy options. It's not always going to be like that. It's not 100% a perfect world, but this is what I want you guys to know. So carbohydrates are broken down into 2 forms. Okay, so we have simple and we have complex. Complex is mainly what you're going to find in your meals. Okay, so like if you have a meal before you go, let's say you're a basketball player and you're going to have a 2 hour game or maybe like an hour and a half game, you want to have complex carbohydrates because they provide you sustained energy throughout the whole event. Okay, so, and like I said there, whole grains, rice, pastas, breads, and sweet potatoes or starches, they're going to be your best source of sustained energy for your event. Okay, long distance events like cross country, you're going to have to rely a little bit more on those complex carbohydrates than simple, and a little bit more on your fats. Okay, because those are long duration energy sources, whereas carbs, they help, but it's mainly for short events. Simple carbohydrates, that's like your guys' Gatorade. Anything like that, chews, sugar, like Marshawn Lynch, if you guys see the Skittles thing, that's a simple form of carbohydrate, just to give you a little bit like of a quick burst of energy. Pretty unhealthy. Definitely not something I recommend, but for performance, if you just need a little bit of a boost, you can work that in. Okay, as long as you're doing everything in moderation, you guys will be in a good spot. Okay, then we're going to talk about protein, and this is my favorite, and it's honestly the king of these three nutrients, mainly because that's what's going to be used to recover. Okay, and recovery is the name of the game when you're talking about training and performance. Okay, because if you destroy yourself in an event, you can't come back less than you were before. You need to come back bigger, stronger, faster, and protein's the king to be able to do that. So I listed some of the sources here. There's meat, fish, beans, protein bars, shakes. Anything 20 grams and above for most of you guys is going to be a good spot. Okay, and I want you guys to really try and emphasize that. If you guys are at the grocery store and you see like a protein shake with 20 grams, try and work it in as best you can. You don't have to if you like food, do it through food. But supplements are okay as long as you just know where you're getting it from. And then fats, kind of put here, they're usually low for performance. Okay, so they're a little hard on the digestive system. They get things kind of moving and rolling. But you do need a little bit, one, for healthy hormones, and then two, you need them for long duration events. So that cross country runners, I'm mainly talking to you sprinters, you're not going to need this. You guys are fast. You guys do your event really quick. You're going to mainly rely on carbohydrate, and most sports are. And unless your event is lasting more than 2 hours, you guys are going to mainly rely on carbohydrate and something called glycogen, which is a stored form of carbohydrate. Your cross country runners, you guys will burn all that up and you'll keep going. Okay, so that's where you're going to have to use fat. Okay, those two are your big energy ones. Protein's not going to provide you energy, but you need it to recover. Okay, but for fats, you got your nut butters, your olive oil, your fish, stuff like that. Okay. So next takeaway is I want you to eat throughout the day. Okay, so that's really important too, is I don't want you guys skipping meals. You guys got to keep your appetite rolled. If you're going into an event, you have to be feeling good and you have to be feeling satisfied. Okay, that doesn't mean you have to feel full. You just have to feel satisfied if you want to perform at your best, especially if you're eating the right things. So simple guideline, try to eat 5 to 7 meals a day. Okay, that's not 5 to 7 McDonald's meals. That's not full meals. You're not going mom and dad's dinner, like full plate every single meal. If you're maybe a leaner person, you can try and do that. Maybe if you're trying to gain weight, add some muscle. But you want just 5 to 7 good quality satiating meals, just to keep you rolling through your event, through your practice. Because I went to Davis High. I know what it's like to be practicing 5-6 days a week. Okay, it's a lot. And you got to be making sure that you're eating right. Because I remember some practice days where I showed up and I was just completely drained because I didn't eat enough throughout the day. So there's some practical little takeaways for you guys. There's around training. I want you to be a little more specific. Okay, so that's like eat a big meal 3 to 4 hours before a training session. So that's your lunch. Like if you eat around 12 and then you guys practice at 4, that's going to be your big meal. High carb snack 30 minutes before training. Okay, so that could be a couple pieces of fruit, maybe on your way to practice if you're walking. It could be like a Gatorade. That could be more of a simple carbohydrate just to kind of spike you up if you know you're going to have a long practice. And then try and keep protein away from the meal right before practice because protein's a little hard on the digestive system. It requires a lot of work to be able to process protein. So let's stick that for after our training. Okay, so if we stick that mainly recovery, you'll be in a good spot. It won't impede your training, and you guys will come back bigger, stronger, faster, and so on. So try and get that within 2 hours after training. Okay, that's going to give you your best opportunity to grow. And then let's take that straight into recovery nutrition, and this is kind of the big one. Training, sport, all that, it's about adaptation. Okay, so like that Charles Darwin, like adapt or die thing, that's a real thing. So if you guys want to be better, you want to be stronger, it's about recovery. Okay, so that includes sleep, but it also includes the things that are on this screen right here for you. So repair, replenish, and rehydrate. Okay, so repair, eat protein. It's full of amino acids. Our muscle is built of amino acids. Okay, we eat protein, we replace those amino acids, build back that tissue, get stronger. Okay, every time we train, every time we do sport, we are damaging our muscle. We use protein to build it right back up. Okay, so you saw those sources from the screen before. Hopefully you guys are able to download this presentation and look at those again. Pretty simple search on Google too. Keep it to meats, beans, cheeses, any dairy, milk. If you need to supplement, that's okay. Just try and get it from whole food sources first. Okay, replenish. This is also a big one. So carbohydrate is stored in our body as something called glycogen. Okay, so when we do our events, glycogen is burned up first. So that stored form of carbohydrate is what goes. So you guys need to replenish that through eating more carbohydrates. So that's our complex carbs, like the whole grains, the potatoes, stuff like that. You guys need to be able to eat a ton of that after your training, along with the protein, to recover optimally. And then rehydrate. Okay, I know I was really bad at drinking water or fluids post events, and so I need to emphasize that you guys need to be drinking a lot of water, a lot of fluids. Okay, I don't know about eight ounce glasses of water, but just try your best. Okay, don't be that person that just slams a gallon. Just drink until you're not thirsty. Okay, that's usually enough to tell you if you're drinking enough, and you want your urine to be clear. Okay, so if there's a slight tint of yellow, you're in a good spot. You don't want it to be too yellow. That's going to tell you that you're dehydrated. So get that to a nice clear color, and you guys will be good. And then my favorite is chocolate milk, full of a ton of vitamins, minerals, along with the proteins and carbs. So that's my best recommendation, an 8 ounce glass of chocolate milk right after practice, right after a game. One of the best things I think you guys can do to recover optimally. And then this is just a nice little depiction of what like a good plate should look like. So this is MyPlategov. You guys can go to this website. This is more generic, but I think it's a good guideline for you guys to be able to build a plate for performance. So these are things like your fruits, your grains, your vegetables, your proteins, and your dairies. Okay, those are going to cover all your carbs, fats, and proteins that you guys are going to need to not only prep for your events, but also recover afterwards. So that's my part of the presentation. I'm glad Karina started off with the movement, and this is your nutrition as support, guys, and they go hand in hand, okay? We're talking about an all-encompassing approach to be a good athlete here, and you can't just have your training dialed in. You have to have your sleep, your nutrition, and everything like that dialed in, because if you truly want to be great, those athletes take it the most seriously. Okay, so use these practical takeaways. Move well, fuel well, be well, train smart, and play hard. Okay, thank you, and have a good day.